Hello and welcome to the Skippy Show episode 2. I'm back and so are you. We've got something good going on here. Can you feel it? Can you feel the connection? I certainly can. What can you expect from episode 2? Well, we're looking at Europe today. We're a little bit less focused on some of the new Premier League kits, but we're looking at still new kits, this time from around the European continent, and a bit more of a focus on those teams you'd maybe expect to see, those Champions League sides such as Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain, etc., etc. But also a look at some of the tops and flops. I'm calling it tops and flops from the whole of Europe. So not just the sides you'd expect to see, but some outrageous kits from the other leagues as well, outside of Europe's top leagues. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then there's a little bit of a look at the 3 o'clock kickoff, the death of the 3 o'clock kickoff, which is something that's close to my heart. It upsets me. The reason why I'm recording this Saturday morning, and this is my first coffee of the day, so apologies if I look washed out, but I was going to do this at about 5 o'clock after all the 3 o'clocks in the Premier League, and then they moved them all, and they've moved them basically right across the day, right across the weekend, and then dipping into next week as well with some Monday night games. And I just want to spend some time talking about Premier League and top flight football, the death of the 3 o'clock kickoff, what that really means, pros and cons for the lack of 3 o'clock games in top flight football, and then some time to answer some of your questions that came in as well. So some great questions have come in, some peculiar questions as well, but we will answer them all, no worries about that. So let's kick off straight away, shall we? And I want to talk about Bayern Munich, Champions League champions. Lewandowski, of course, the figurehead of that, would have won the Ballon d'Or, I'm sure, but obviously didn't get the opportunity because of COVID. Convenient much. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So here are the Bayern Munich kits for the upcoming season. So kind of traditional colours, really, as you'd almost expect, really, from Bayern Munich. Quite a traditional side. The home kit, it's all a bit bizarre. You can get standard fit, which is what you'd expect from kind of like a replica shirt, or you can get authentic. And basically, the variation in that is there's a bit of a tighter fit. It's got a slightly different pattern down the side, and it's got a curved hem at the bottom, but it's about €30 more expensive to get the authentic fit versus just your kind of standard shirt. So I'm not really sure what you would massively gain unless you play for Bayern from getting that slightly different kit, but there you go. Strange one, isn't it? I mean, moving on to the away shirt then. Now this one, I have a couple of problems with this one. I don't really like it. And to be fair, am I being harsh? I just don't really like the design on it. It looks like a tank top, doesn't it? It looks like a vest with grey sleeves. There's not a lot you can do, I suppose, with the away kit, but I feel weirdly like just a plain white would have been fine, and they've gone for this weird kind of change to grey on the sleeves, which just makes me feel like it's like a vest. Like, I don't know, maybe tank tops are coming back into fashion. If you wear vests on the regs and think, yeah, European champions have got the tank top vibe, now's my time to get back out there, then you might be right. You might be right, and they've done similar with the third kit as well. It's a bit cooler, I suppose. There's a bit more of a pattern to it, but still there's this kind of tank toppy vibe to it. It's got the Adidas stripes on the shoulder pads, which is quite cool, and to be fair, on the website they've got Lewandowski modelling it, so what can you even say? And they don't call it their third shirt, they call it their UCL shirt, their Champions League shirt, which I have some respect for. It's almost dismissive of the concept of a third kit. They just rock the UCL, and to be honest, they could win it again. They've made some good signings, haven't they? The sort of standout ones, Leroy Sané from City. I think that he didn't really get a fair crack under Pep in the second season, or the most recent season, should I say? But I'm interested to see what he can do at Bayern Munich, and if Bayern Munich can replicate a Champions League victory, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see. So overall with Bayern Munich, I'm not really sure where they sit. They're kind of somewhere in the middle ground, I suppose you'd say. They've gone pretty basic as they always do, but the success of that side means that they can kind of do what they want. Am I a bit disappointed by the away shirt? Maybe, but there's something so, I don't know what it is, just there's that aura around Bayern, isn't there? And champions of Germany, champions of Europe. I expect them to push on, and well, not even push on. They'll probably win the Club World Cup. If that goes ahead, actually, I'm not sure if that'll be going ahead. It'll be interesting to see. But if it does, they'd win it, I'm sure. Like I say, Lewandowski unlucky not to win the Ballon d'Or this season because of everything else that's happened in the world. But yeah, kit's basic, but the team far from it, and I'm sure that Bayern will be pushing for a consecutive Champions League. That'd be really interesting to see if they can do that. Although I do expect a better showing from some Premier League sides this season as well. I think that Liverpool and City will have their eyes on the prize with that and be looking for a strong Champions League season. Maybe especially City, as they are yet to get their hands on that trophy. Who's next? Well, why don't we take a look over in France at the side that they beat in the Champions League final, Paris Saint-Germain, one of the richest, if not the richest club in the world. They are literally, it's the power of Qatar. I can't even pronounce Qatar properly. I call it Qatar because, what's the point anymore in football if you've got this much money, really? If you can just splash, they could buy planets, let alone players. So they were one of the sides I said potentially if Messi's going to go. I did say I don't think Messi's really going to go, but if he was going to go, then Paris Saint-Germain maybe one of those sides. They've already got Neymar, they've already got Mbappe, but they've also got Choupo-Moting. So they're a bit of a confusing side. Having said that, Choupo-Moting actually got them to the Champions League final, so fair enough. They've got a little bit of sauce about them as a side, don't they? I don't know, it's a weird arrogance because they play in the Ligue 1 and they haven't won the Champions League. They got very close last season, but they fell short. They didn't do a huge amount. I thought that Bayern overall were kind of in control of the game. There was a couple of chances here and there. They've got Mbappe, they've got Neymar. Those are the headline players, of course, but they have got some sauce with their kit. So let's take a look at Paris Saint-Germain's kits for this season. I wouldn't say that we need to spend too much time really dwelling on the home kit. It's nice, it's smart, but at the same time, it's exactly what you'd expect from a Paris Saint-Germain kit. It's basically the same every season, and yeah, nothing. I really don't have anything else to add. Obviously, Nike make the kit, and it's very nice. It's the colours of France, and yeah, it's pretty cool. But the main thing is they've got 4 kits to get through. So let's move swiftly on to almost too nice an away kit. Really, I feel like you could see people out on the town or out to dinner with their families rocking this away kit, let alone Mbappe, just chilling on the wing. Like this away shirt is too nice, isn't it? They do it almost every season with kits that are just too sexy for themselves. I would wear this out. I've spent not like crazy amounts, but a decent amount on what I class as like nice clothing. But it doesn't come anywhere near this level of sauce. I mean, it's so clean, it's so fresh, and you know that they're going to tear up Ligue 1. Although they did lose their opening game to newly promoted, was it Rennes? I think it was, which is a bit bizarre. But across the course of the season, it's Ligue 1. They're going to tear it up. And who knows, this could be their season for the Champions League as well. They've just signed Florenzi, which is a good signing at fullback. But yeah, that away kit, so much sauce. And then we move on to all the other kits that they've released. Thing is about Paris Saint-Germain, they're more of like a fashion team, I feel, than a proper gritty football team. Could they do it on a rainy Tuesday night away at Burnley? Who knows? But they're going to look good trying, ultimately. So you've got their pre-match kit, their third kit, and apparently a 4th kit plus the keeper kit, and they're all a bit bizarre. Let's take a look. On the right hand side we can see their pre-match shirt. Fair enough, I know that that's a legit thing. That's quite cool as well. It's got a bit of sort of the PSG embroidered throughout, which I quite like. But then you've got their sort of Jordan shirts, obviously Michael Jordan, with the kind of basketball slam dunk logo in place of the Nike logo. And then they've just got these kind of weird ones like that sort of claret, white and black with golds. It's cool, to be fair. It's quite nice. Are they ever going to wear that? Are they ever going to wear, apparently, what is their fourth kit? That's atrocious. That can't be real. I'm seeing, this is like leaked stuff. They're futuristic stuff. I just don't, that can't be right. That fourth kit can't be right. That's embarrassing if it is. I hope they never wear that. The third kit I like, and I hope it's worn quite often because it's got a similar level of sauce about it to the away kit. But that fourth one's atrocious. I mean, dear God, that is bad. I mean, so poor. That can't be right. That's worse than the Paisley. That is worse than the Man City Paisley. That is a stone cold atrocity. If that's the kit. I mean, anyway, if you're PSG, you can do what you want. Anyway, like I said, the power of Qatar. Qatar, what's wrong with me today? What's wrong with me? I can't say Qatar properly. Anyway, that's where the next World Cup is. So I'm sure that PSG will win the Champions League that season as well, which obviously won't be this season, the season after. Yeah, will it? I suppose, because I don't know when it is anymore, because I suppose it's Christmas 2022, so it won't even be next season, so it won't be this season coming or the season after that. God knows, it's so confusing, isn't it? The Christmas World Cup, I'm not a fan of it personally. It might turn out alright, I'm personally not a fan. So we've looked at Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. It would be unfair to not then look at some Italian sides, get some Italian and then a little sprinkling of Salt Bae, which they all hang around with him, don't they? It's so bizarre. He's become the sensation just because he does that in a fancy way. Anyway, sprinkling of Spanish in there as well, looking at Real Madrid and Barcelona before we take a trip to Amsterdam and many of the Dutch sides, obviously Ajax being the main focus. Without further ado though, Juventus. And good God, I hate these kits. I just don't. It's one. Right, we're here. We're back at me moaning about kits. So I do apologise, but at the same time, that Juventus home shirt is terrible. You're Juventus. Come on. I'm glad you got the stripes back. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad they've got the classic old lady stripes back. But no. It looks like they've got a white shirt and done it on crayon. That doesn't look cool. That doesn't look hip and trendy. It's just rubbish. And the away, if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you can pull that off. But I don't really like the collar. I don't really understand the concept of that collar. Is it? I'm doing it with my own granny cardi, by the way. It's so comfy. I can't take any hate for it because it's just too comfortable. But the collar kind of wraps around like this and then dips up a bit here. You see it's similar on the Real Madrid away kit as well. It's just bizarre. And I've seen a picture of Cristiano, they're looking good in it. Obviously he looks good in it. He's Cristiano Ronaldo. Nobody's as muscular as that man. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, sure, he looks great in it. But I just don't think that I would as well. And that's what it boils down to. Would I look good in it? No, I probably wouldn't. So therefore, I don't like it. Again, they do this weird, like, authentic, or I suppose a lot of clubs do it now. They do the actual shirt or the farmer's version. You're just this kind of punter that's coming along to the game edition of the kit. And it's like, well, why don't you just make the proper kit? They've got the authentic one for like €130, which is what in pounds? It must be at least like 110, if not a little bit more. and then just the kind of the normal, which is still like €90, but and we think we have it bad over here, but I don't really like either of their kits. Really, I mean that the home and away, of course. But if we do take a little look at the third, just out of interest, we have to do it. We have to be fair. Let's take a look at the third kit. And is this worse than the Paisley? Is it worse than the Paisley because it's bright orange? Oh, what's happened to football kits? I don't like this. I don't like the randomness of football kits anymore. I really don't. There's just something about it. Like, just have cool kits. You don't need this. You don't need this ridiculous design. Like, the reason why I don't like the home kit is because it looks like it just looks cartoonish. The reason I don't like the away kit is primarily the collar. I like the simplicity of it. But the third kit's ridiculous. And I know that's partly what a third kit's for, but come on. They're gonna look like leopards running around. Ronaldo looking. They're gonna sing "Eye of the Tiger" every time they wear this kit. I mean, come on, it's just too much now, isn't it? But to be fair, if what they do is they advertise it with Cristiano Ronaldo, and they get models in to advertise it as well, and I suppose it looks pretty cool. But no, for me, similar to the Paisley, it's just too out there. Juventus's kits are right down there for me. I mean, I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say about that. But Juventus, poor kits. Again, really, this season. I didn't really like last season's, and I don't like this season's either. But that doesn't mean that I don't like any Italian kits for the upcoming season, because AC Milan have come in, and they've come in hard. They've gone classic. They've gone classic. I've got a minor pet peeve with the third kit, but it is minor. Overall, let's take a look at these gorgeous kits. This is what I mean when I say simplicity of a home shirt. AC Milan are they're so classic with I mean, any kit of that design, you call it, oh yeah, that's their AC Milan kit. Like, no matter what level, if a team's rocking that kit, it's their AC Milan kit. And it's just so cool, isn't it? Are they going to have Ibrahimovic there, rocking that kit? He must be at least 55 now, rocking that kit. Looking cool as the F word. Just, yeah, it's just great. And the away kit, again, I'm going to contradict myself slightly because, the away kit and the goalkeeper kit really... appreciate the goalkeeper kit's not on this graphic, but it looks a bit like a honeycomb, similar to the kind of goalkeeper second kit or goalkeeper third kit or whatever it is, the honeycomb look. But the AC Milan away jersey for the 2021 season, they've got a funky design on it, yes, but it still looks cool. It still looks snazzy, slightly tank topish, you could say, but I like it. Overall, I like it because it's not too out there. It's still kind of got some sense of normality about it, not like those Juventus kits. And then we move on to the third kit. And I really like the third kit. I just have one tiny issue. And that is, it's blue. And their main rivals play in blue. I don't know. I know it's different to the Inter Milan kit. I know, and are they really rivals because they both play at the San Siro? So not really. But they are. Come on, it's Inter AC. It's huge. They've both got the same thing, just with a different colour. So for their third kit to be blue, and again, it's some kind of throwback. That's my only thing. I wish it wasn't blue. However, you can't say that their third kit isn't sleek. It's cool, and the players look cool in it, so you can't complain too much. And I do like the simplicity of it. Emirates do all right, don't they? They sponsor some teams with some banging kits. Arsenal as well. They do all right, yeah. Got AC Milan as well under their belt, and shout out to Puma. Puma, I think, underrated as kit makers. They make some really nice kits across the board. There's some that aren't great, but but no, I like it. And these three kits, they score quite highly for me. So Italy clawing it back a little bit. If we look at AC Milan, it'll be interesting to see how they do this season. I remember back in the day, I mean, AC Milan were right up there, weren't they? AC Milan were right up there. They had such a side between like 2006 and 2008. Well, I mean, in 2005, when Liverpool pulled off the miracle in Istanbul and beat them on pens after making it 3-3. But still, that side was a joke. You know, they had Seydorf, Shevchenko, and those were like two of their worst players. I mean, what a side. What a side that was. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. I quite like AC Milan, mainly for that exact reason. Kind of old school success, old school fame, and they're still a massive club, so it'll be interesting to see how they do this season. Let's take a look at Spain then. I mean, Barcelona have gone through a whole thing with Lionel Messi, haven't they? And shocker, he's probably going to stay. As if we didn't all see that coming. I mean, everyone thought he was going to go to City at one point. No, he's not going to. He's not going to, because no one was going to pay that much. So, I still fully expect him to stay. It would take something shocking for him to go. Barcelona kits are Barcelona kits. They are another side that favours an audacious one here and there. But let's take a look at their upcoming kits for this season ahead. I mean, what do you expect from a Barcelona home kit, really? You get what you expect. It's nice. It's really nice. It's really cool. And the most important thing about it is that they backed it up. They backed it up with a nice away shirt. Let's take a moment. Let's take a moment to appreciate this away kit, because it is something special, isn't it? Okay, moment over, but still, oh, it's stunning. It's stunning. That's how you do a black kit, a blackout kit. We black out the badge and everything's black and gold. Get, Sam Sparrow on it with this black and gold. So nice. So nice. Clean, fresh, simple, perfect. And then, you know what? If you do that, if your home shirt's basic but classic, and your away shirt is as nice as that in the black, then you can have a pink third kit. You've almost earned it by that point. But what I do still like is that, yes, it's pink, and yes, they've gone with a kind of weird, you know what, okay, yeah, I don't really like it. Oh, I don't really like it, do I? God, I was trying so hard to pretend that it's alright because I'm just in love with the away kit that much, but what are they doing with the badge? Why have they made it that weird? What's the obsession with teal this season? I mean, oh, everyone's obsessed. Everyone is obsessed with teal. I find it, I'm not going to lie, I find it bizarre. And yeah, terrible third kit. But at least it's not their away kit, unlike Real Madrid. Let's take a look at Real Madrid. I mean, their away shirt is bright pink, and it's also got the weird collar, and it's not that nice. Let's take a look. I mean, they've gone pretty kind of standard with the home kit, really, but with the pink down there. They've got a bit of a pink obsession this season. It's a very distinct pink as well, and I've just said about Emirates and how they've got some good kits. I'm going to have to semi-retract that statement when you look at the Real Madrid kits. I mean, home kit, yeah, basic. You need to back that up with a little bit of success, I think. Real Madrid, come on, what happened to you? Ronaldo left and you had a meltdown. Get back on it, but not in that pink. Oh, that's not good. Shout out weirdly. I don't think that they've released a third shirt for this season, which is fair enough because they're not going to need it. No team is gonna combat them when they've got a white kit and a bright pink kit. But their goalkeeper shirt is quite a nice one, actually. Their goalkeeper home shirt, that is, their away kit's not that nice, but it's an ice blue. Bit of a funky collar on the design, but no, overall I do like the keeper kit. But home and away, just just a bit too basic. I really don't want to dwell on Real Madrid that much, because it's quite simply it's not that much to write home about. So let's move on. Let's not waste any time, and let's go to Ajax. Now, Ajax, pretty basic home, outrageous away. But I don't mind it. I don't mind the away shirt. Let's take a look at Ajax's home and away shirts for the upcoming season. Again, the weird collar on the home. I've got something against this collar, haven't I? Clearly, I'm upset by it, but I like the kit. I like the kit. Kind of apart from that, really. That's the only downside, is the collar. It scores pretty high. It's pretty classic as a kit, isn't it? So no, absolutely no real complaints from me there. I don't really like the sponsor either. Ziggo is a bit weird, but nonetheless, it's classic Ajax, and you'd expect nothing else. However, the away, I'm still in two minds about the away. I think overall I don't really like it. I think that there'll be some players that can really pull it off and look cool in it. But the stripes through it, and the fact that Ziggo and Adidas aren't that clearly written on it because of the kind of faded blue, I don't really like. And then you've got the badge in red as well. So I just don't think that all the pieces of the jigsaw fit together with the Ajax away shirt this season. I do like the home collar's not great. The away shirt, no, it's not. But they're not really going to have to wear it, I don't think. There's not that many. There are probably in the Eredivisie, but I haven't seen that many teams that they've come up against, be a kit clash. I can't even say that. Be a kit clash. I don't really expect it, unless they come up against Sunderland in the Champions League. I don't think they'll have any problems. And on watching Sunderland till I die. That's not likely to happen for quite some time. So we've had a tour around some of the top teams in the Champions League and AC Milan. But let's take a look at some of my favourite kits from Europe outside of those top leagues, and some of the sides that you maybe not expect to be in there. And we take a trip to Turkey to start with some of the best shirts from the Super League. And Galatasaray are coming in strong there, aren't they, on the left-hand side? Very nice. Very, very nice. Obviously, those colours traditional of Galatasaray, but the way that they sort of blend the two together, like two elements crashing into each other, I really like it. And that actually carries through onto the socks a little bit as well. It's quite a cool design. Does it just look good in a picture, and it might not look that good in real life? Maybe, but no, I do. As a bit of a different design, I do like it, and of course, no sponsor ruining it as well. Imagine Ideal Boilers on there. That would piss me off no end. I think that they've done well there, Galatasaray. And on the right hand side, we've got a combination. At the top, you see Fenerbahce. I really like that away shirt. That's their away shirt for the upcoming season. It's something about the colour of it. It's just quite nice, isn't it? It's weird. It's like a brown, but quite cool brown. I don't know. It's quite strange, but it's quite nice. And again, the sponsor on that's not too bad. Avis, or however you would pronounce it, but it's quite cool. It's obviously got the Adidas stripes on it. It's nice. It's nice. That's a kit in years to come I'd like to add to my collection when it's a little bit cheaper. But overall, no, a very nice kit. Is it better than Besiktas? That's the question. Because Besiktas are making some moves. I don't know if I love it or hate it, this home shirt. It's a bit strange, isn't it? It really is a bit strange. I mean, their away shirt as well, as you can see, they're next to each other. That reminds me of Fulham in a kind of weird way. I don't know what it is about it, but But yeah, I'm just not sure. Part of me really loves it as the kind of the grey off-white colour with the streaks across. But now, to finish off European shirt reviews, we have bold statement. There's some of my favourite kits this season from Europe, and it's from a side that you might not expect, and that is Copenhagen, however you wish to pronounce it. Is it the fact that their sponsor is Carlsberg, and that reminds me of like classic Liverpool? It's just such a classic sponsor, isn't it? Partly, but partly it's the simplicity and the beauty of the Copenhagen kit. So let's take a look, and I'm just going to give it a moment. I'm just going to let it sink in, these kits. Let's get them up on the screen. I think it is the simplicity of the design, isn't it? Really, it's just fresh. It is just fresh. I love the shade of blue that they've gone for on the away kit this season. It's really cool. The badge is slightly altered as well to almost be blackout. The dark blue and black simplicity with the shirt sponsor Carlsberg. One minor tweak, I might move Carlsberg? I'm not going to move Carlsberg because that's not a thing. Carlsberg, of course, I would slightly move it down. It encroaches, I think, a little bit. Maybe just down just a touch so that it's a bit more kind of central and in line with maybe the bottom of the Carlsberg in line with the bottom of the sleeves without it being too encroaching on the badge. That's the away kit, of course, and a similar situation exists on the home. And you know, you could argue, come on, you know, that home kit's pretty basic, and it is basic, but it's got a little bit to it. You know, the shade of blue that they've used matches the Carlsberg, and it matches the Adidas, and it matches the badge, and it is the simplicity of design sometimes that makes the most gorgeous kits. I think their away kit I do prefer, but no, really nice kits from Copenhagen this season. So yeah, I think that may even have to just be part one of European new kits, because there's so many that we haven't even touched on today. So I'm going to say that that's part one of new kits Europe, and some will feature in episode 3 of the Skippy Show podcast, because there's still so many that we haven't even touched on. You've got the likes of Marseille, Inter Milan, they're crap. Roma have got some interesting kits, and the retro badge design on one as well, so we can take a look at that, and hundreds more. So that will feature as well on the Skippy Show podcast episode 3. But for now, let's move on to the death of the 3 o'clock kickoff. Heartbreak. It breaks my heart. The death of the 3 o'clock kickoff. And part of it is because I put accumulators down. That's part of the reason. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I get all the 3 o'clock kickoffs from all around every league, primarily English football pyramid, and Scottish football as well, because you get good odds on some of the Scottish games, unless you're backing Celtic or Rangers, in which case, what a waste of everyone's time. But I like building an accumulator on the 3 o'clocks, and I like sitting down in front of the telly with the 3 o'clocks and just watching Gillette Soccer Saturday and just ticking things off, and it becomes a thing, you know, something that I really look forward to. It's the end of the week. Okay, brilliant, Saturday's here. Let me sit down with a cup of tea and watch Gillette Soccer Saturday and just tick away and get 1 or 2 goals away on my accumulator. And I feel like when you remove Premier League games from that, it doesn't, you know, it takes something away from that league. It doesn't take a huge amount away from, there's still plenty of other games that I can pick from, but it just takes something away from it when you don't really feel it as much. And even from fantasy football side of things, like you're watching a kind of staggered approach. You've not got them all happening at once. It's all here, there and everywhere, and you've got to try and keep up. It's just like 12:30, 4, 5:30, 8. I think those are the times of the games tonight, and I think no, actually one's on at 2, I think, as well. So great, sure, they're all on telly. That's one of the pros, and there's a number of other pros as well. But focusing on the cons, focusing on the things I don't like to start with is interrupts kind of fantasy football, everything happening at once. Interrupts, low level betting. I think that's a bit of a con. Interrupts Gillette Soccer Saturday. What are they even going to be looking at? You can have all the Championship games in the studio, fine, but I prefer a bit more. You can have one Premier League game that's on at 3, which is Southampton versus Crystal Palace, or Crystal Palace versus Southampton, should I say? And that's it. And then every other game's going to kind of, I don't know. It's just, personally, I don't like that. I like the Premier League games being in the studio. And I don't mind an early kickoff and a late kickoff as well, but I'd like at least 4 or 5 games on at 3, not just one. Also, and it's not so much of an issue now, but when people return to football, 3 o'clock is the time that the games need to be. You base everything around the 3 o'clock kickoff. You arrive at the location. If it's an away day, you arrive a bit early and you find somewhere to have, pub grub, or you go to a van that's selling burgers around the corner, and it's all part of the experience, and the 3 o'clock kickoff is the pinnacle of it. And I don't mind an evening game during the week if it's a cup game, because that's got its own special atmosphere as well. But I don't know, there's something about the 3 o'clock kickoff that I think is just classic, and it needs to stay, and I'm upset that they're tinkering with it for the television money. And I'm going to go through a list of pros as well about moving the time, so to give a balanced argument. But let's not pretend that this is anything other than money making to get all the games televised. That's it. And another con is, if all the games are on the telly, why would I go? And that's a ridiculous statement, because obviously I want to go and I want to be there, especially for an away day. But if you can just bung it on the telly, like we're in the middle of a pandemic now, or hopefully 2/3 of the way through, potentially, the pandemic now. People haven't got money to throw around. People have not got money. And so, in a way, great, it's on the telly, so people haven't got to throw money around. But that's surely detrimental to the atmosphere at the game. And I just think they've looked at it and they've gone, fans aren't really there, but at least we can televise it. And actually, maybe we can make a bit more money from that. From a Sky point of view, you can have viewers throughout the day watching. You can have people buying passes so they can watch the weekend game. And I just think it is all about money. However, there are pros to it. And, one is that football's on all the time. So the inverse of the fact that it's not all at once is it's on all the time. So across the whole weekend, and people that don't like football probably won't like that. But for football lovers, you can watch today you can watch the Arsenal game, then watch Gillette Soccer Saturday, then watch Liverpool Leeds, then watch West Ham Newcastle. So why would you not? You've got them all there to watch all the time. Tomorrow and Monday, they're on all the time, and that's, in a way, that's great. You can watch whatever games you want, whatever time of day. So that's a pro, I suppose. And there'll be some more games throughout the week as well, so they're on the telly. And whilst we can't have crowds there, that's a pro. You can watch the games. I just hope when people return to the games, we return to the 3 o'clock kickoff as well. Another pro is the inverse of the gambling one. It deters people from putting stupid amounts of money down. People can get into real ruts with gambling, and it can be a real problem for a lot of people. So the fact that they can't bet on every single Premier League game at the same time every single weekend, probably beneficial. When the football was off, I saw loads of stuff on Twitter about people getting over their gambling addictions, and that's fantastic to see. So if you then go, bang, here it is again, slip back into it, spend all the money. Again, Sky and people like that, they put all the stuff out there, they do the bare minimum to deter people from getting gambling addictions, but at the same time they're offering boost, acca lad, all the time. It's on adverts all the time. And are you really deterring people from it? Because before a Premier League game, you have 5 or 10 betting ads at half time. Quickly, you get about 10 minutes of punditry now, even less, about 5 minutes of punditry in a 15-minute half-time break before you've got Ray Winston back on your screen going, bet and play, and now. And it's like, I don't want to, Ray. Calm down. Calm yourself. Calm yourself. But for people struggling, unfortunately, I don't fall into that category of having a gambling addiction, but people that do, the 3 o'clock kickoffs, or the lack thereof, may deter people. But if you're watching football all day, then it's getting you to bet all day. So I don't know, it's an interesting one. I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts. Does the lack of 3 o'clock games happening at once deter people because you can't build up your Premier League accumulator, or does it affect people in the opposite way because you've got more and more advertising going on? It's an interesting one. I mean, Gillette Soccer Saturday's riddled with it as well, isn't it? And they talk about Super 6, which is just a free way of getting you... You don't put anything down, but it encourages you to then bet. You put your Super 6 down and it tells you what your odds would be. Another pro, though, of moving all these games is that you can do what the hell you want with your day. You can. I'm going to watch the Arsenal Fulham game because I think, partly because I've got Aubameyang as my captain on fantasy football, but partly because I think it'll be a good game. It'll be interesting to see Fulham back in action off of the highs, of course, of the playoff final. But I'm probably not. Oh, I'm definitely not going to watch all the games tomorrow. And you can pick and choose. You can go about your normal life. You know, football's on all the time, but you don't have to watch it. The fact they've moved all the games away from 3 o'clock, if I had something to do today at 3 o'clock, if I wanted to go and watch local football, this is an interesting point. When crowds return to local football, conference and of course below, but you know, mainly for me, I watch quite a lot of conference games. So for those teams, if not all the Premier League games are on at 3 o'clock and people aren't sat in watching Gillette Soccer Saturday because they've watched the half-12 game, or most of it, and then headed down to the local team, that could be beneficial for grassroots football. And I'd encourage everyone, as we sort of emerge from COVID, to go and watch local teams play, because that's real football. You know, I know people joke about it, but watching your local team play is the best. Is the best, because if it doesn't go right, oh well, you've not staked your entire livelihood on it. But if it does, it's great, and the atmosphere there's some die-hard fans at Conference South and the leagues below, and that's great. So that is a positive of not every game happening at once, is you can still watch them without missing your local teams play as well. And of course, people with kids, you can go watch your kids play. Kickoffs are fanned out like they are here. You can see the times across the weekend. Then that does mean that you can go and see your kids play, you know, and really, like, are you going to watch all those games? And I'm not saying that people wouldn't go and watch their kids play anyway, but it does mean that you're not missing as much if you do, you know, and you can pop over the road and watch the whole game and then come back and you still got all the football on. So, and you can track everything from your phone nowadays anyway, can't you? So, yeah, people aren't missing, because some people are really passionate about Premier League clubs that they support. And that might be to the detriment of local football, and it might be to the detriment of, you know, family and friends playing. So you can watch them now without feeling like you're missing the Premier League games. My overall consensus, I'm not a big fan of games being fanned out across the weekend. I like a good full Gillette Soccer Saturday panel talking about Premier League games. I like, so at least 4, and then maybe Cammy out doing one as well. So 5 Prem games on at 3 o'clock is kind of my preferred. And then a couple on Sunday, and I don't tend to watch many games if they're on a Sunday because I'm doing other stuff, and Saturday's my football day. But no, interesting points there, for and of course against the 3 o'clock kickoff. So I wonder what you guys think. So do drop me a message on Instagram or in the comments below to let me know what you think about the death. I'm calling it the death of the 3 o'clock kickoff, and I think it could be going forward. Who knows? I hope it isn't, but it could be. And now time to move on to Q&As. We've had loads of questions come in, so let me first switch you to this screen here, where you can see up on the screen now what you have to do to get in touch. Of course, I recommend, funny old thing, I recommend that you subscribe to this channel, but there's loads of great content on the channel, not just the Skippy Show podcast, but also some streams as well if you want to hear me screaming, and I do share this on the Instagram page, and that is the main way to get your questions in for the Skippy Show podcast. You can put them in the comments of the previous podcast, because I will pick up on them, but the easiest way, normally on a Thursday or a Friday, on @Skippy Sensational Shirts, I will put it out there. I will put the Ask Me a Question thing, and that is where you can get in touch. So without further ado, let's crack on with some of the questions. So I've got the questions here, by the way. I don't just look into the distance. Question number 1: Is that a Roboraptor? Yes, it is. This is a Roboraptor, and that is a Dalek, and that is Mr. Potato Head. And there's, you can probably see loads of other Emperor Zurg there just above my head. And yeah, some classics, some absolute classics up there. A lot of them are like collectibles, but the Roboraptor was just a gift when that came out as like the big thing. I mean, I felt let down by it. I think that Roboraptors are crap. It doesn't walk on anything. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to claim that it walks, because it quite simply doesn't. It just kind of trots in the same place over and over again without ever going anywhere. So yes, that is a Roboraptor behind me. If anyone wants to buy that Roboraptor, I'll even sign that Roboraptor if you're that desperate. Honestly, I don't know why I've still got it, but maybe just because so much money was spent on it that I just feel like it'd be rude to get rid of, you know. But yes, it's a very good opening question, and the answer is yes, that is in fact a Roboraptor. Question number 2. Again, not football related. This is a fantastic question. If I had to live like a mosquito and suck the blood of other humans to survive, would I suckle on the skin of the old or the young, and who would be my first victim? Now, that's technically 2 great questions to answer there. I'm going to start with a question of my own. Why a mosquito, and why not like a vampire? You know, surely the human equivalent of something that has to suck the blood of other humans is a vampire, and you don't just immediately jump to the bizarre realm in which I've been fused in some way with a mosquito, or maybe I'm like Spock, but you know, my father isn't a Vulcan. It's in fact a mosquito, a giant mosquito perhaps. Who knows? Yeah, I think it would be, I'd probably suckle on the skin of those maybe 5 years younger than me at any given point in time. I think it would be a weird statement to say I'd suckle on the skin of the elderly, or equally, you know, kind of the very young. It all comes down to whose life force I suppose I'd need to steal, and yeah, so I'd try and keep it sort of constantly 5 years younger than me as I aged, so that it was all PG, and yeah. So then, who would my first victim be? Who would my first victim be? You'd want someone, you know, that you could really. I don't know. Who would my first? Immediately jumped into my head would be someone like Timothy Chalamet or Tom Holland. You know, one of those one of those people that's just probably Tom Holland. The kid's full of energy, so why would you not want to suckle on his skin? It's a very good question. I'm sorry, it's such a bizarre one to start us off. Firstly, yes, that's a Roboraptor, and secondly, I would suckle on the skin of people slightly younger than myself, and my first victim would be Tom Holland, or as many of you will know him, Spider-Man. Next question is football related, and it's a very good one. Who is the most influential football player? Who is the most influential football player? I will ponder this with a sip. And there's two answers to this, in my opinion. First one, who is the most influential on a game? And I'd argue that it's probably still Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of who can influence a game the most. I don't want to get involved in the whole Messi-Ronaldo debate because they're two very different players in my opinion. One of them is totally God-given talent, or 90% God-given talent, and the other one, Ronaldo, is obviously some God-given talent, but with a lot of hard work. I'm not saying that Messi doesn't work hard, but I just think that nobody works as hard as Cristiano Ronaldo. And, you know, you've only got to look at when they were, 3-0 down to Atletico after the first leg. He took the second game by the scruff of the neck, banged himself. Well, they were 2-0 down, maybe? And he banged a hat-trick and they went through. Yeah, I don't think it went to extra time, so they must have been 2-0 down. You know, and you can see the passion, and he does sometimes let things get to his head a little bit. But I think one of the most influential players on a game, someone that can flip a game and really turn it on its head, would be someone like Cristiano Ronaldo. Having said that, the most influential player I view as influential on a team, influential on a whole era of a club, and I honestly do think the most influential player that I've ever witnessed would be Vincent Kompany. The way that he led on and off the pitch that Manchester City team to, and I know they spent a ridiculous amount of money. I get that, but so do a lot of teams. And Vincent Kompany, he wouldn't play for half the season, battling injury, but would always keep the team going in the right direction. And then some of the goals that he scored have been so crucial. I remember when they first won the league, when they played Manchester United in what was essentially the kind of playoff game for who was going to win the league, and he rose highest, soared from a corner and nodded it home. And then, of course, that very famous goal that he scored against Leicester 2 seasons ago. That was when basically City had to drop points in order for Liverpool to win the league, and they just didn't. They quite simply didn't. They were amazing. They got 99, and Liverpool got 98. What a season for those two clubs, and Liverpool, of course, won the Champions League. Stunning for English football at that time. But Vincent Kompany's goal against Leicester, and you can just see how much it means to him and the effect that he had on Manchester City when he joined and when he left. You know, players come and go, and the money, of course, was splashed out. But God, what a player! And then if you look a couple of years back, you'd probably have to say someone like Totti for Roma, a player that I absolutely adore. His legacy, you know, he was Mr. Roma, and I think there's a famous quote from him if he was asked that he was going to leave or something like that, and he spoke about how he dated many women, but he would never cheat on his love, which is Roma, and you know, it's that kind of passion just doesn't really exist, I don't think, anymore. So most influential on a game would be Ronaldo for me, but most influential for a team and for a club would be Vincent Kompany, and then a special shout out to Totti as well for his legacy at Roma. A really interesting question, this next one. How many left-footed players should be in the starting 11, excluding the goalkeeper? Ultimately, the goalkeeper, it makes no difference if he's right-footed or left-footed, but I've seen that some left-footed keepers seem to have a bit more tech. I don't know. That's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? But their technique seems to be undeniably good. How many left-footed players? Well, to start with, left back and one of your wingers. It depends if you want the winger to go outside and cross it, or if you want them to cut in and shoot. You know, do you want a Salah and Mane where they cut in a lot from the wings? I can't even think of many examples of players that don't do that anymore. But oh god, who was it? Like Giggs on the left. You know, Giggs didn't play on the right to cut in and curl it in. He'll play on the left and he'd cross it. And Manchester United back in the day really were very strong on the left-footed left midfielder and the right-footed right midfielder, whether that was Ronaldo or Nani or anyone really that played on the right, or Valencia when he played in midfield, but Giggs kind of sat there on the left the whole time. And it depends on your tactic, but I'd always say one winger and the left back. The left back needs to be left-footed, especially if you've got a right-footed left winger, because if the winger cuts back, then the overlapping run is then on for the full-back. So left back, one of your two midfielders. Is it just that? Is it two? I mean, you could make a case for a centre back, but I don't think it's fully needed. You can have a back four of right-footed, left-footed, left back, I'd say. So I'm saying two. I'm saying two should be. But I quite like a lefty here and there. I don't mind it. I think that left-footed players tend not to have as good a right foot. What I mean by that is right-footed players are a bit more ambidextrous with I don't know if that applies to your feet. Ambidextrous? Maybe. You know, right-footed players have a bit more swaz on their left, whereas left-footed players tend to be very left-footed. Predominantly, Messi doesn't count because he's just incredible. But Bale, you know, is very, very left-footed, which is fine if you're that good and if you've got that good a left peg. And I'd say that as well. I'd say that left-footed players tend to, they may only have one foot, but my God, it's good. So I do quite like a lefty here and there. I think that an ideal amount would be left-sided centre-back, left-back, one wide midfielder, one central midfielder, and maybe a forward as well. Or a two-footed striker, I suppose, so maybe let's not count that. So I'd say you need two, but you should have three or four. Just get a bit more variation. You've got a lot more. You can mix it around a bit more. At least two starting, but you should have four. You should have a mixture in your starting 11, I'd say. Favourite and least favourite 2021 shirts is the next question. What a question that is. And we've also got some questions. Favourite Premier League home kit and least favourite Premier League kit. Doesn't have to be home or away or third. So I'm going to go with the Premier League ones first. And I'm going to say my favourite Premier League home kit is Arsenal's. I think that Arsenal have a very cool home kit. It could be City's as well. I think that their kit's very cool. But those two really. A lot of other home kits are a bit basic, which is fair enough because there's not a lot you can do. But I do quite like City's bizarre but cool design, and Arsenal's, and Spurs have got a nice home kit as well, to be fair to them. No, I'd say Arsenal or City's my favourite home Premier League kit. My least favourite Premier League kit is Wolves. What are they doing? It's ridiculous. That is a terrible away kit. In fact, let's get them up on the screen. So Arsenal's home and Liverpool's home's crap as well. Wolves is away shirts up on the screen now. These are, so on the left hand side, my favourite home shirt. Arsenal's I've gone for. Yeah, could be City's, but I've gone for Arsenal. And I suppose you could say that's slightly tank topish as well, actually. But they get away with it. And my least favourite Premier League kit on the right hand side there is Wolves. What on earth are they doing with that away kit? It is an atrocity. But my favourite and least favourite 2021 shirts overall. Oh, can we include national teams? Because I love that England shirt. I love the simplicity of the England shirt. It's a shame that they've got off to quite a poor start in it, really. Or maybe the PSG away, because that's got sauce. That has got sauce. We've looked at it already in this show. PSG away could be up there as my favourite shirt of the 2021 season. And maybe I haven't discovered my least favourite yet. Maybe I haven't discovered my least favourite 2021 shirt. So that might have to be a A question that goes on. Is this the worst? Because at the moment it's Wolves. It is honestly Wolves. I don't think you can get a worse and weirder design than that. I hate it. I hate it so much. Of course, West Brom's Ideal Boilers. Ideal Boilers away shirt. The home shirt's pretty poor as well, but that's up there. But no, I think it's Wolves. I think it is Wolves. I think my favourite is PSG away at the moment, and my least favourite overall is still that Wolves. Whoa, terrible. Next question's on the obsession with the style of play. Are we too obsessed with style of play at the moment? And what's wrong with long ball if it works? What is wrong with the famous hoof ball? And I'd have to agree with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with hoof ball. What do Liverpool play? 9 times out of 10. It's driven passing, and they call it heavy metal football. Counter-attack. The most famous and most successful Manchester United teams were based on counter-attack football. Long ball's slightly different, don't get me wrong, I appreciate that. It's get it to the fullback, big diagonal ball up to the top, and then it's a nod down and scrappy. It tends to be a bit more scrappy, but long ball with a purpose can sometimes be really fruitful. If you've got, it doesn't have to always be in the air, you know, long driven passes can look great as well. Don't forget that Burnley are a proper mainstay now in the Premier League, and Sam Allardyce never got relegated, I think. That was the famous stat, and that still applies for Sam Allardyce. Predominantly hoofball, predominantly long ball, and it may never win you a league, maybe not even a cup, but some famous moments from previous seasons, or probably one of the most famous moment in the last couple of seasons, certainly in the history of Tottenham. Lucas Moura's third goal to see them through to the Champions League final. How did that come about? They hoofed it, and they hoofed it to Llorente, who nodded it down, I think to Ali or to Son, who played it through to Moura, who, it was a great finish on his left, and that's what I was just saying about right-footed players having 2 feet, and scores. And it all came from hoofball. So there is an obsession with style of play, and I think that it's an unhealthy obsession. This is my only thing about Manchester City. They got rid of Dzeko, they got rid of their big man option. I think every team needs to have a big man option, because when the style of play, the tiki-taka is not working, you need a couple of players without chucking your centre-backs up, that when you ping it long, or you get crosses in, you get deliveries in, it's a great way to score goals. Set pieces and long ball can be really effective. So I do think that style of play is a bit overhyped. You'd like to see a team try to play beautiful football, like Manchester City do, pop, 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 lovely. But I am always an advocate of you need that option. If it's not working, you need to go to phase 2, ping it long. Absolutely, I think that's the best way. I love beautiful football when teams can play it, but long ball, I think, still deserves a place. Still deserves a place. In the modern game. The next question is, how many Watsits can I fit up my nose? Well, it's a bit of a snout. I'm going to go with probably only 2 though. Watsits are quite big, aren't they? Or have they got smaller? I don't know if everything's getting smaller now, isn't it? Chocolate and everything like that. It's all gone from like chocolate bars were this big and now they're this big. 2, 4? 4, I'd say. If I really went for it, you know, if I really sort of went for it big, then maybe 4. I might be able to fit 4 Watsits up my nose. Quite a simple question. Quite a simple question. If managers had fees like players, who would be worth the most and how much would they be worth? I think it boils down to 2 managers. First one's Marco Silva. No, of course not. Although he would be one of those players with a ridiculously high fee, like Lallana. And it's like, why? Why are you spending so much on Marco Silva? Who knows? I think managers with the biggest fee, I think Jose Mourinho would still be up there. Although a lot of the time he's a free agent because he gets sacked, doesn't he? Which I suppose would be the equivalent of contracts being run out. You ever see players get sacked, do you? I suppose it's just not worth it, and you'd have to pay maybe a lot more, but you don't see players' contracts really being cut short, or even negotiated down if you really didn't want them to be at the club. Why would you, I suppose, but an interesting point nonetheless. I think that Pep Guardiola, and I think that that would be the record fee when he moved from Barcelona to Bayern. Little Brian Badonde impression there. Would be maybe the highest fee. I think, I don't know, it depends, doesn't it? Because football's getting more and more ridiculous. Don't forget that Coutinho went for 140 million. You only have one manager in charge of the whole team, so would they be more or less than a player? I think they'd still probably be less. But I think your sort of £100 million transfer would be someone like Guardiola. And you've got to say Klopp as well would be there. I don't think there's that many great managers outside of England. I think England's got a lot of really good managers at the moment. And a couple of up-and-comers as well. You've got people like Lampard. Who knows how much he would be worth in a few seasons' time. You've got Mourinho, you've got Klopp, you've got Guardiola. But then, you look at teams like Bayern. I don't even know what their manager's called, I think I do, but I don't want to say in case it's wrong. How much would he be worth? Quite a young manager. How much would he be worth? And it's an interesting question. But I still think that Guardiola would be worth the most. It's close between him and Klopp. Although you'd say, how much money have Liverpool spent versus City? And look at the success. So it's close. It is close. Maybe Klopp, he edges it. But I think about the £100 million mark would be the most. If the fees were kind of the same, I think that that's the most you'd really be paying for a manager. Interesting question. They're weirdly cheap, aren't they? And there's not that many. There's certainly no swap deals. That would be interesting. If there's manager swap deals, how many players would be poached from each team? Would you swap a bunch of players as well? And the final question, and possibly the most important question of the Skippy Show podcast. And before I get to that, thank you for every question that everyone submitted. It's been really enjoyable to read through. It's been really good to see the engagement with the channel as well. But the most important question continues, the ketchup saga. Ketchup in the fridge or on the shelf? Let's pause. Let's breathe. Let's take a moment. We actually keep ketchup in the fridge. We do. We keep it in the fridge. I don't know why. I don't know if I've got a preference. It's strange, isn't it? You put food in the oven and you have hot food and then you put cold ketchup on it. Bit weird. I don't know, I have no preference. Actually, we keep it in the fridge, but I have no preference. However, I put chocolate in the fridge or sometimes even the freezer. I like chocolate to be really cold. I don't like warm or even room temperature chocolate. I think it's disgusting. If I really have to almost snap my jaw and snap my teeth on chocolate, that's when I find it the most flavoursome. Maybe because then it melts in my mouth and not, as I'm trying to eat it, I get it all over my hands. It's shocking. It's something I hate is kind of warm chocolate. But weirdly, I don't mind a hot chocolate as a beverage. So what does that say about me? Who knows? But no, in answer to that, I keep ketchup in the fridge, but I don't have a preference, and I don't hate on those that keep it in the cupboard. But absolutely for me, you've got to be putting chocolate in the fridge or the freezer. And that is the final question, and that concludes the Skippy Show podcast episode 2. If you haven't seen episode 1, check it out. I hope you've enjoyed. Subscribe, like, comment, share, do everything you need to do. I am now going to wrap up, warm, go out, do a food shop and watch the 12:30 kickoff. So there we go. Thank you very much for tuning in, and follow the page on Instagram and everything else I've already said. Excellent. Thank you and goodbye.